evening, everyone. I'm Lina Safa, the manager of the Center for Global Partnerships and Learning at Pepperdine University Graduate School of Education and Psychology, and I'm honored to welcome you to the opening session of the 2025 Global Leadership Speaker Series. Tonight, we launch a thought-provoking and inspiring series that will run through April, bringing together distinguished leaders to explore innovation, motivation, and global leadership, themes that are critical to shaping the future of education, business, and society. The Global Leadership Speaker Series is one of the flagship initiatives of the Center for Global Partnerships and Learning, designed to create a platform for scholars, professionals, and students to engage with cutting-edge research, leadership strategies, and cross-cultural insights. Throughout the series, we will hear from esteemed thought leaders who will challenge our perspectives, ignite meaningful conversations, and inspire us to take action in our own professional journeys. This year's speaker lineup includes tonight's opening session with Dr. June Schmieder Ramirez, who will explore how to motivate and innovate in a culturally diverse environment. On March 17, we will welcome Louis Raskila, who will discuss future view, scenarios and trends towards 2035, an insightful look at global shifts in leadership and innovation. And to conclude the series for this year on April 7, we will host a student panel featuring a group of GSCP doctoral students and scholars showcasing emerging voices in education and leadership. Before we begin tonight's session, I would like to take a moment to introduce the Center for Global Partnerships and Learning to you, which proudly presents this series. Our center serves as a dedicated hub for academic excellence, leadership development, and lifelong learning within education and psychology. Our mission is to empower emerging leaders and scholars through innovative programs, research support, and professional development opportunities, positioning them as catalysts for positive change in their fields and communities. Some of the key initiatives we offer include research support services, assisting students and faculty in publishing research and presenting at major academic conferences, workshops and certificate programs focused on leadership, diversity, global engagement, and women's leadership, and professional development and cultural initiatives, including the Elevating Voices in Leadership podcast, cultural celebrations, and of course, this Global Leadership Speaker Series. Through these efforts, we strive to bridge theory and practice, connect scholars across disciplines, and cultivate a culture of global engagement. And now, it is my privilege to introduce tonight's keynote speaker, Dr. June Schmieder Ramirez. Dr. June is a visionary leader in higher education with an extensive background as an associate dean, senior chair of doctoral programs, and a renowned faculty member. She brings decades of experience in innovation, motivation, and leadership from a higher education perspective. In this engaging session, Dr. Schmieder will explore the critical role of motivation in shaping personal and educational journeys, how fostering a global mindset inspires students to embrace leadership on a global scale, leveraging research tools such as the Global Mindset Survey, and the transformative impact of service in higher education, from study abroad programs to doctoral student development and preparing future faculty leaders. Her expertise and dedication to student success, research, and global leadership have made a profound impact, and we are thrilled to have her with us tonight. And as we prepare to hear from her, I would like to take a moment to highlight her distinguished career and contributions to the field. Dr. June Schmieder Ramirez is a passionate educator and esteemed leader with a deep understanding of the challenges facing our interconnected world. Dr. Schmieder Ramirez draws upon her invaluable experience as a superintendent of schools to inspire her students. She empowers them to become transformative leaders who can address complex global issues with creativity, courage, and a commitment to social justice. As a dedicated scholar and a respected voice in the field of leadership, Dr. June actively shares her research with academic communities. She recently delivered an inspiring keynote address at King Fahd University in Saudi Arabia, captivating the audience with her insights. Her dedication to advancing knowledge is further exemplified by her recent appointment as editor of Springer Publishing's Handbook of Global Leadership and Followership, integrating the best leadership theory and practice. Dr. June Schmieder Ramirez research delves into critical areas such as university, industry, government alliances, equitable resource distribution, the power of digital entrepreneurship, and the cultivation of a global mindset in emerging leaders. Her scholarly contributions have been recognized through publications in prestigious journals such as the Academy of Management Journal, Scholar and Educator, and the Journal of Global Leadership. Beyond academia, Dr. June is a driving force behind the International Center for Global Leadership, a nonprofit organization she founded. As president of the center, she tirelessly works to foster a global community of leaders committed to positive change. The center hosts an annual conference that brings together inspiring minds and is currently undertaking a visionary project, the development of a technology center in Placentia, Belize, designed to empower students in both Belize and the US. Dr. June is a true inspiration, a leader who not only imparts knowledge, but also ignites a passion for making a difference in the world. It is an honor to have Dr. June Schmieder Ramirez with us tonight. Please join me in welcoming her to the 2025 Global Leadership Speaker Series.
Well, thank you very much. That's a beautiful introduction. So thank you. My name is June Schmieder, and I'm really happy to present this topic. And it's going to be kind of the informal part of it. We're going to have more of a formal speak in the first part, and then we're going to go into slides. And my companion here is Shelby Chandler, and she's going to be working some of the slides. So thank you. So I'd like to say that it's an honor to stand before you today. I'm here to discuss my journey, which is stretched from the classrooms of Stanford University, St. Mary's, and that had more of a business kind of background, San Jose State University, and Pepperdine University. So I've been around a lot of universities, it seems. So, but I did stay. You get the credential for each one. So I didn't want to seem like it was just jumping from each one. Although I felt like doing that sometimes. But this is a journey of continuous learning and a deep-seated belief. And I really think it's important to have the power of innovation to transform our world. My father was an airline pilot, and I think I got the idea of going from place to place, and I think that was a good background. Now, as a young girl, I was deeply enriched by my parents' intentional efforts to cultivate core values within me. And the things they really liked was kindness. They felt it was important to have faith, patience, understanding, resilience. And these are all pillars that I think have been nurtured. And it's become the foundation of my life. And I think all of us, have that. And the people in the room have that. I was inspired by President Gash. He has indicated that there is excellence in academics and excellence in faith. And we believe they are intertwined. And I do think that is true. You have to have both. And my faith serves as my unwavering anchor, providing strength and nourishment. And this truth really continues to guide my journey as a researcher and a leader at Pepperdine University. And I really appreciate all the colleagues that I have and the friends. And so it's wonderful to have that. And also everyone who's on the screen. And I see Gabriela Miramontes. I see several people, but I'll mention. I see Ghazi, several people who are in front, and I'll maybe mention them at the later part of the speech. My parents instilled in me the belief that I could make a positive impact in the world. They thought about the world. They supported me in faith and were a guiding star of my life. There's not a day that I wasn't reading about the Bible, and that was true with my grandmother, grandfather. Everybody was part of that. My grandfather was a minister, so all this was part of our life. I witnessed my parents' unwavering commitment to serving others. In fact, my mother and father gave out the stoves, the refrigerators. They give it to people they knew. And I realized we didn't have a furniture, any kind of furniture after a while because it was given out, which is fine. But we managed to get a refrigerator later, so that was nice. So I thought of the giving was so very important to people who had needs. As overriding themes of this keynote are three things that we were looking at: motivation, leadership, and innovation. So those three items we want to kind of emphasize. I believe true innovation comes from research that stresses that the transformative power of collaboration, we all do need the collaboration, emanates particularly from the, and I'm going to mention three areas that I think are important, and I have just collecting books about this, thousands of university, the industry, and governments. To me, they have to work together. And if we look at the history of, for example, Silicon Valley, and how Steve Jobs, everybody was working together in Palo Alto to put together the university, industry, and governments, and they nothing ever happened unless they had to work together. And that really was kind of my inspiration, because I did live part of the time in Silicon Valley. So I wish I had met Steve Jobs, although he did speak at Stanford, and I remember what he kept saying: stay foolish. So I tried to do that. As many of you know, I have to be careful of that sometimes. Um, um, but anyway, I believe, don't laugh, Dr. Miramontes, I saw you over there. I believe that by fostering a supportive and nurturing environment, we can empower others to reach their full potential. Uh, and also, that drives my work as an educator, researcher, and leader, and inspiring me to create a lasting impact on the lives of others. And I think you have to have that. And as educators, we hold the key to unlocking the potential of the next generation. I feel that's important. And I think it's important to cultivate not just knowledge, but the ability to think critically. That's part of this life, I think, and solve complex problems and embrace the unknown. I think there are things like climate change, economic disparities, and social unrest that demand innovative solutions. And that's, you've seen that in politics and other areas from each of us. And one thing I feel is true is we each hold values in this room. We all have a voice as leaders, and we must utilize to impact culture and change. I think that's important. The other thing is leadership. That's the second area. Um, I think it was important. I mentioned it later in the slideshow that leadership is a pivotal role to fostering a culture of innovation. So I think you have to have leadership. And part of that leadership is you have to have a create vision. I think Steve Jobs had that. Many leaders have that articulates a compelling vision for the future and inspiring others to strive towards ambitious goals. Number two, there's no question you have to have foster collaboration, and that breaks silos. But then I know there's kind of negative and positive about collaboration, so you have to pull the positive everyone together and to build inclusive teams where everyone feels valued and that they belong and empowered to contribute. I feel that's important also, no matter what your strengths are. The third thing is embrace risk taking. There has to be that. In other words, you have to create a space for experimentation, even learning from failures, recognizing that innovation often steps outside of comfort zones. The other thing is very important is to champion change, not just the thing is, when we had started the global leadership program, it was a new idea. Not everyone was for it, and it was 2015. It was a new idea. We have to remove obstacles and provide the necessary resources for innovation to thrive. We had support from other people, for example, a university president, to move forward this program. You have to have that too sometimes. And then you have to develop future leaders. They invest in the growth and development of the next generation of leaders. equipping them with the skills and knowledge to navigate a rapidly changing world, as which we know, as which can change from day to day, as we see on the news today, for example. And one question we would have is ask yourself, am I leaning as a leader? Am I leaning in as a leader? I ask myself, these questions daily, what do I think about my own leadership and others I know, to ensure I measure myself, and that self accountability will take you far on this journey. I think you have to embrace interdisciplinary thinking. You have to think of different countries that are working as one. The world's most pressing challenges, in many cases, require a multifaceted approach. You have to look different approach. If you're looking at Belize and you compare it from Los Angeles, you're looking at domestic versus outside the United States issues. And by breaking down silos and encourage collaborations between disciplines so that we can unlock a wealth of creative solutions. So I think that's what you have to have together. And then the next important area is developing a global mindset. You have to think globally. You have to understand diverse perspectives, cultures, and challenges, and it's crucial for navigating intercollected world. It's important also to cultivate empathy, intercultural competence, and a commitment to global citizenship. The other thing is to leverage technology for good. Even we look at AI, there's different opinions about how AI should be used, and so that's understood. Technology is a powerful tool for innovation, it is an essential tool to equipping our students with the skills to harness its potential for positive social impact, from developing sustainable solutions to bridging digital divide. Now, my research at the International Center for Global Leadership, I'm critically looking at the University Industry Government Alliance. And I mentioned that before. I just called UIG, because it looks at those three areas: university, industry, and government. And I really think you can't really move forward fast enough unless you have those three areas. By fostering partnerships between academia, the private sector, and government, we can translate research into real world solutions that address pressing global challenges. We had recent in Placentia, Belize, that exemplifies this approach. We built a technology center. We are not providing access to education and resources for local students, but we're trying to, but also creating a hub for innovation and entrepreneurship that benefits both Belize and the United States. So we're using two things together. And, eventually we're going to have a lab that would foster new ideas. And we're going to take ideas that we've had in the past and put it together. We've used this also in Mexico. When I brought computers to Mexico, it may not have worked as well as I thought. Now they did have a computer lab, but I mean that's how we learned, as we different things, and we found out that Belize was a totally different country with different needs, new people, and 10 different ways to looking at things. So, in conclusion, let us inspire our students to be agents of change, to embrace the challenges of the future with creativity and courage, and to use their knowledge and skills to build a better world for all. Now, the final section of this presentation will address utilizing slides to show how the sections of the keynote look at motivation, leadership, and innovation. And I just want to practically thank Dr. Lina Safa. It could be Safa? Safa, okay.
Correct.
Dr.
Correct.
Okay, I see you. I see it. It's Gaza, Dr. Miramontes, the great Shelby Chandler, and Dr. Swellen Schneider de Maria, and Maria Brahmi. Those were the ones that are kind of really helping us to move forward. So, okay, now, oh, thank you. Now we're going into the slides, and you're going to just do, okay. This is the slides that we're going through on global leadership, and this kind of gives us more of an informal view of our global leadership. I really do want to thank again Dr. Gabriela Miramontes for put together these thoughts about global leadership. I think this is really great because this gives us a chance, a window to see those thoughts. Thank you, Gabriela. Are you still there? Yeah, okay, there you go. No, I know you were laughing. But anyway, I entitled this the Igniting the Spark of Innovation Leading Change in a Globalized World. What's our time? I'm going to start. So I don't need to go into the introduction again. I'm just I've been through a lot of, well, you went past it. Okay. My thinking now is to look into future thinking, looking the potential of the next generation. I want, I've already mentioned about the vision, foster collaboration. My service at Pepperdine includes, have been Associate Dean, Senior Chair of Doctoral Programs, publication of the Journal of Global Leadership, by the way, and that was really exciting part because that went into Belize and brought a lot of thoughts there in that country, Central America. So, and also the support of our Pepperdine colleagues as they generated collections of journals to support global leadership. So, intrinsic in this presentation, ask yourself again, am I leaning to as a leader? What are you doing every day as a leader? I've been a superintendent, as a professor. I've seen the importance of culture, the knowledge of innovation, and importance of creative thinking. And you all know those areas. Our students have expressed the importance to embrace interdisciplinary thinking. Now, I know Pepperdine has a lot about going outside domestically areas, and I think that's great. We're going, Switzerland, Finland, many, many, many countries, and I think it's a great experience to do that. The importance of having a global mindset and also leveraging technology for a powerful tool. And I know that Pepperdine is moving into different technologies that I think that are even more powerful. So as a context of this discussion, my research at the International Center for Global Leadership of University, Industry, Government is driving the innovation, I hope, and that we have partnerships with academia, the private sector, and government. So remember the three things that ULIG, university, industry, and government, will be through this presentation. And as we look at translating research into real world solutions and addressing pressing global challenges. So there are three sections of this the slide presentation. One is motivation. The other thing is the leadership, academic history, and 3, innovation. What are the ideas that you thought should be the future? We put together, of course, along with Dr. Magini and others, with organizational leadership, with the faculty, and about of that came out of the Global Leadership Program, and everyone's worked to do it, and I really appreciated that. The motivation is who is me, Dr. June Schmieder Ramirez, pictures from my school. What is my history triggered my interest, and who does she bring forward for motivation for learning? Now, I just might, one little thing. There might be some pictures that might be a little odd, okay? When I say odd, I mean they're a little bit out of context, but it's okay. If you saw something that's a little different, it's okay. This is out of my childhood, so I understand, like everybody's childhood. Okay. Stay foolish is what Steve Jobs says. So we're gonna hit a couple different ones. Anyway, the questions I thought about, what motivates, in my first part under motivation, what motivates one to read widely? As a 5 year old, what motivated me to bring home a book that I read in school? There was a great motivation because I read something and I remembered it the rest of my life. So I think it was Dick and Jane, but I think, but that was the start. But anyway, I went in further into that, then into Machiavelli, but that was a big reach. But Dick and Jane starts out. Okay. Okay, this me. Uh, um, I started, uh oh, I don't use it. Okay. Um, I saw myself at Quaker Ridge School in actually New York, and that was the importance of motivation. So that was one of my first pictures. So yeah, that was me. I had to dress like that. What? Oh, okay. So that's the first section. Go ahead. Okay, this is a little unusual, but as a child, there was fun things that we had to do as a child. My father was an airline pilot, and he said, okay, kids, what we're going to do is every person can pick one thing out of a Sears Roebuck catalog. Okay, my brother picked like I guess it was like a bat and a ball. My sister, she had like a dress, and so I picked a kinkajou. Okay, the reason I picked a kinkajou was it was a wild animal, and I get to learn about different countries. And so this was the kinkajou. This is called a honey bear, and it arrived in a box that said, "Okay, this is your honey bear, and good luck because we just want to know there's directions. It possibly bite." Okay, so we had to go forward with that. That was one of the pets I've had. The pet didn't last that long because we had to turn it back because it did nip a couple people, and so it was sent back to the zoology part. But look how beautiful that animal is, and it's happy now, or it was. So just to let you know. Okay. So I attended Scarsdale schools in New York, graduated from Danbury High School in Danbury, Connecticut. My father was an airline pilot. I traveled quite a bit as a teenager, and I took my sister once to Disneyland. It was closed, but I pretended that it was open, and so we got a train and drove around Disneyland. But she had a good time, so I thought so. So I felt motivation were intrinsic and extrinsic. So both, I had to be, things I had to like internally and also externally. I was always involved in chess and checkers tournaments. The parents in one of my schools, they all had put me together in all tournaments, and so they wanted to be part of it. So that was part of it. Book reading was a constant activity. I know many of you doing that all the time, but it was constant. So what did I do within challenging times? One is I read Machiavelli. I think that was important to know Machiavelli because Machiavelli, uh, that deals with challenging times. The Bible, my grandmother's home, reading the Bible was a nonstop activity. And I said my mother donated to our pastor, and we don't have any more refrigerators for long times, but we got another one soon. But she, again, the very biblical issues that we had, so that was great. So that was fun. The other thing is on leadership and academic goals. When I was younger, also, I moved to California and moved in with my aunt and uncle. And what were the academic goals that I accomplished or addressed? So after in California, I saw theme one, the importance of our students. I saw the doctoral students that I saw. I also service included word at San Jose State University, Indiana University, San Diego. In other words, more broad experience in colleges. They've increased all of our knowledge of Latin American, Central American. I think that was important. So here's a kind of a picture of our doctoral students here. You can see they're all very happy to being here. I noticed that. So I think, yeah, pretty much. Um, Leadership is part of the conversation, having a global mindset, being excited and understanding being professionals and leaders. So I really excited working with them all the time. One of the things I wanted to show is one of the citizens of Belize. This is Leo Ramirez, who works with us with the students in Belize. He's very helpful. So wanted to show he's working with. You'll notice that the resorts in Belize are very important, and that's a good way to bringing students and other people in. Been in the resorts. It's very safe to be with those resorts because you have food there, you have people can operation, they get to know each other. So Mexico and Belize were kind of very good. And this is Leo that's there who's kind of watching everything. So this is great. He's still there working very hard in Belize. So again, I moved to California, attended San Jose State University. I might mention that Dr. Joyce Osland, one of the people that we used as far as the books, taught there. She attended and graduated from Stanford University. Conversation with Dr. James March. That's one person that I met with him. He was a professor of leadership. And he said to me, he stopped me in the hall and he said, June, you just started here about learning about leadership. I think it's going to take about 8 years for you to understand, and everybody for 8 years. And I said, excuse me, Dr. March, I don't want to take 8 years, I'm afraid, for that. I think maybe just 3 might be good. So we had a conversation about that. So we did lessen that because I thought 8 years a little. See, now that's one of the arguments. Should you take 8 years to learn about leadership? I don't know. I don't think so. He said at the finally at the end of the conversation, he said, June, I just want you to know, I don't understand leadership totally. I just wanted to let you know secretly about that. Okay, thank you for that. I learned a lot about there. So, I mean, well, I thought it was kind of funny because he's a great professor. He believed about the decision and the problems, and he put it all in a box, and he called it the garbage can theory of leadership. And so I thought that was very interesting. That's a famous theory now. And not many people have used it. I think one of our students uh, has actually used it, but I think it's called loosely coupled. And I don't want to get into that, but anyway, he was famous for that, and he's a very famous person to know about leadership still, even though he says he doesn't understand it. But he's funny. So along with this, became a professor at Pepperdine. I'm very happy to work with the students, and the University of International Center of Global Leadership in Belize has been finished. It's almost finished. And what struck me was the need for parents. This is the first thing I noticed was the students in Belize. Uh, they had the need for payments for students to go to their elementary school. And so I noticed that whenever there was restaurants and everything, there was an opportunity to donate to the parents so they could have their kids go to the schools. But they have to be careful about money very much for that schools. This is the surrounding waters of Placentia, Belize. It's a very beautiful place to be. It's almost like an island. I just think people have been very happy about our students have visited there and they've seen the monuments. So we have many students that are very excited about being there and to see the many thousands of years for the monuments. So it was a great experience. Who are those people? Well, you may wonder. Uh, we were in Costa Rica, so we have Jackie's son and Shelby Chandler and myself there for Costa Rica. You had a good time there, yeah. Okay. She said yes, so that's in Costa Rica. That was a great place to be. It was awesome. Uh, Now, this is great. President Gash, his honors all our doctor students with this honor award for excellence in leadership. And he does a great thing. He invites everyone to come to his home to talk about leadership and to get to meet everybody. I think that's wonderful. And so this is an award that I think was everyone should gotten for. I mean, we did for the excellence of leadership. So we're very happy that he very recognized global leadership. Of course, you know who this is. This is Paul Sparks and myself, and we're recognizing his leadership, of course. And so we were okay until he sent me a note trying to tell me what blockchain is, which I agree just to discuss it. So that's great. I like new ideas, so that was exciting. So that was going. Go ahead. So the Journal of Global Leadership was the way that we got experience to getting our students and faculty to write some topics that we're excited about. And so I think there's about 150 articles that we have so far. So we're hoping to encourage that as we go forward. So hope to maybe disseminate in some way, maybe put a book together, because I know Dr. Gabby does that, and some other people put similar books together. I had the fortune to work with or actually to know one of our alumni is Dr. Ahmed Garatli, and he has served to help us guide and understand Saudi Arabia. Now, they asked me to speak, so I was excited to do that, and it was very, very interesting. So the importance of global leadership, for example, in Saudi Arabia, I just thought was wonderful. So that was a great experience. Here's an interesting thing. I kept this. This is an old white board. It was put together in 2015, but you can see something interesting. You had Jack McManus, some other people who put this together as some of the first thoughts. But you can see, it was kind of like stay foolish because no one really had an idea that was one. It had to be looked at collaborative, but it became one idea as we moved through it. But you can see how things emerge, which I always liked, that you can emerge into a good idea. And so you see throughout USC, from UCLA, Indiana University, you had all kinds of things. So we kept this whiteboard that was kind of exciting. So chapter 3 is, oh, okay. So where are we today? Where are we going? What are we excited about discovering? Who are we? These are all questions that I think everyone are looking at. Are they the same programs that we had in higher ed? Are they changing? There's a lot of articles now about is higher ed changing in the Chronicle of Education. So a lot of people saying, oh, why shouldn't it change or whatever, or should we change? So anyway, I think that's exciting to be talking about. Uh, this is kind of an interesting picture I wanted to throw this in. This is picture was done by one of our students in Pepperdine University, and they came in. It was such a beautiful picture. I think this was actually from Mexico, but it showed you the difference of cultures in Mexico, and then when you look at Belize and different places in Central America, it is different as well. Okay, this is the beginning of the building of the Center of Global Leadership. So it's beyond that right now, but that was the first start that we had in Belize. So we don't have a huge amount of people who are in construction, so it took a lot of getting to know people in Belize to do that, to start building. Yeah. Okay. These are some of the students from Belize. I see Adriana Garcia. I saw Amanda there, several other of our students there, and that's from our classes. So you can see some of the students that are having a good time there, and they really loved Belize. Right now, this is like past. Actually, Dr. McManus is no longer with us, but he was a great teacher. Dr. Nahara is teaching in another university, and he worked with global leadership also. And I'm in the middle there, so it was a good picture there. And here are some of our colleagues, our well-known colleagues and our alumni. That looks like Leo Millette, Doug Lay. That looks like Linda Poland in the past. So this is from graduation, as I recall. Dr. Ann Gladys, one of our alumni, and she teaches in that area also. So, okay, this is one of our students. She had gone to Belize, and she was very interesting about the different people that she met there, like the Garufuna, the Mayan, 15 ethnic groups. And so that was exciting for her. And so it just shows you some of the pictures that we've had from there. And so she's very excited about being in Belize, and she's back now. Oh yeah, everyone knows Dr. Kent Rhodes. So hi, Kent. So he's not here. Okay. Here are the students that are sharing their research in Belize. These are the Belizean students who they were very excited to be there and with them to them. And so they're actually wanting to go into the University of Belize and other areas. So we're really excited they'll be pursuing their education. So chapter 3 about what are the future directions for higher education. And these are kind of suggestions right now. One is engage with other study abroad programs. So we're looking at other study abroad. Incorporate models such as Spell It, people of you know what that is, with reading lists to be sure these types of readings are kept in our files. I think also keep in our files the approximate 140 excellent articles in the peer-reviewed Journal of Global Leadership. Review the articles, the making of a PhD, a case study. Tonya Inside actually wrote a paper on that. Utilizing the journal article entitled Utilizing Global Leadership Assessment and Experiential Learning to Teach a Doctoral Level International Policy Class. So actually, oh, I don't remember that one. Okay, yeah, so that's actually they're doing a lot of the actually putting papers to go, which I think that's wonderful. So we're putting a lot of teachers together. Yeah. Okay, so the question is, what are the directions we see for the future of global leadership? We do see a growing number in that using that title, because if you go on Google, for example, you're seeing many thousands using that kind of title, which is interesting. And I think we just go along with be foolish, be curious, don't say, what are the rules, what, how, and why. So it's an important facet of higher education. So, okay. Oh, here's a couple directions you might. This is the Global Leadership by, let's see, that would be Joyce Oslin, which I think one of the best compilations, most people say, of global leadership. There are thousands of applications that you can see. So we've used this quite a bit. The other thing is there's a text called the New PhD. So the writer of this text feels that graduate education might be a little bit be looked at, but maybe the number of years that it takes through graduation, that they might want to look at either expand or contract, so that they've act about that to look at graduation education. So that's a new book that's basically come out. This other one is a Schmieder Global Mindset Inventory, and that's free and is basically, I think it's got 250 questions, but close to that, and then you can see where you stand on this one global mindset. But I can tell you there's a lot of these instruments, and so you can see those on the internet now. So again, the summary is motivation, leadership, and motivation. And I hope you enjoyed our publication. This is Family Matters. Stay foolish, stay curious, stay human. Now, the reason I stay human because my son added he did another keynote, and so he said, Mom, the thing I just want people to be know you need to be stay human. So we're all human. So thank you very much for the time. I really appreciate it. Thank you. And thank you very much for the group. So, oh yeah. And we're going to into if there's any questions, just let us know what you have. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. June, for an enlightening and beautiful presentation.
Thank you.
Yeah, we open the floor for now for Q&A. Kimberly, you have a question? Go ahead, please.
Yes, and also thank you so very much, Dr. Schmieder Ramirez, and it's a pleasure to see you again. Have such great admiration and respect for all of y'all, but thank you for sharing about your journey. I have about three little questions. The first one is the vision. A lot of times people are timid and they don't think big. Could you talk about thinking big? I mean, we want to make a global change, but something that's feasible. Could you talk to that?
Do you mean from an academic?
Yes.
Yeah. I think the large questions that should be looked at, not the small ones. So as large as you look, the world. I mean, for example, the United Nations. Maybe you might want to look at the areas that are the United Nations look at. So as large as you can, that would be great. Anything that would cause any conversation that looks at large questions, I think, is important. I mean, we have to have the smaller questions, but the larger is better. Like what is SDG? Is that right? The questions that the United Nations are looking at might be starting a good start. Oh, yeah.
Thank you. And then the second question is like in practicum, when you collaborate and you do a formal agreement with different countries, I know from with other government entities, there's memorandums of understanding. At that level, would they be treaties, or what would the formal agreement? What would that look like?
You mean when you say between one country and the other? You mean from for like example, our learning center in another country, or
yes,
yes, whenever we had the learning center, it was clear that we had to look at if there was an agreement with another country, we would discuss with, say, the college from another country, and then work some kind of a memo of agreement. That's usually what we did. So if it was Belize and Mexico, we would have an agreement, and then we would sit down and figure out what would be part of the agreement. So it'd be formal. Yeah. So a good question.
Okay. And then and this other one, I just have two other ones. How many siblings do you have total?
Siblings. Okay. Well, okay, let me start with I have 4 children were in the family, and two were deceased. Okay. And then I have one more. I have Candy, my sister, and so she currently now is living in I think it's, let's see, she's near Menifee, California. So she's doing very well. So yeah, so the two of us, yeah. So I was the oldest of the 4. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. And I come from a large family too, and some of my siblings are deceased, but it also helps me glean how you grew up and your siblings supported one another with the values parents instilled. And then my last question, Doctor, is how could we also learn more about perhaps volunteering or being helpful to the Belize effort? And then also about the Journal for Global Leadership. How can we learn to better write and just to be helpful?
Well, thank you. Well, we have a lot of writers here, like Dr. Miramontes is putting together the writings, samples that we have. I think it's good to know to have a kind of a group effort, and I think if there's some way we can work together to do that, I think would be good. Um, because I think it gets scattered if you have journals to go from one place to another. I think having it together is like a plan together would be a great idea. Uh, Typically, when I had the journal for global leadership, I worked with a couple of our helpers, and then they helped us to put it together because it took a whole publication, company and all that to help putting it together. So it is a thing, but we want to continue that because COVID stopped us for a while, but we want to do it continue. And I don't know if Dr. Miramontes, do you want to add to that or what the current writings that are out there?
Yeah, thank you, Dr. June. Basically, so one of the things that we have at GSEP is the Scholarships Without Borders journal, where you can publish. If you also participate in the GSEP symposium, we do have proceedings that are part of that. And then we're always seeking out partnership opportunities. So if, when we hear call for chapters or things like that, anytime you want to write or publish, circling back with the center will put you on our radar, and if things come up, we can also add you to our work site so that as things are announced or anything of that nature, you can definitely kind of work in that space.
Thank you. Thank you
Yes.
both.
Yes, thank you. Yes, thank you, Dr. Miramontes.
Patricia, yes. Please go ahead. You have a
Yeah, I
question.
wanted to ask Dr. June, will
Mhm.
we be expanding to other places in the future, and how do we get that information? Like if we're expanding to Africa, Southern Africa, Northern, I'm interested in that.
Mhm. When you say expanding, you mean taking a group of students that would go to that particular country and then work at it? Is that what you're saying? Yeah.
Yes.
Um, okay, that's to be honest. I think you have to know the structure that GFCP, Graduate School Education Psychology. I think it's important to know the structure because the decision makers, assign which particular, places that they have to go, because part of it is as the government, they have certain State Department rules and things like that. So I think that would be kind of a decision that would be made at the associate dean and the dean level where we would go. Now, I have certain areas I'd love to go, but it may not be the choice to go sometimes. And sometimes, things happen in different countries that we have to look at because then it's communicated at the State Department and that goes through that. Because then it has to go through the university too. Pepperdine University is part of it. Um, but I'm in Belize, for example, that would be separate from Pepperdine University. But you were talking about possibly Africa. That's what you're talking about. What parts of Africa are you saying?
South.
South? Okay. I think there's no question that we should investigate other places to go to, But at this point, I know that the plans for trips have been set for the summer, and then I think we should look at, perhaps expanding those at some point. I would like to do that in some ways. So thank you for that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Patricia. Any questions?
Any other questions or comments? Shelby?
Yes, I was wondering if you could speak on the impact that you shared a lot of images and pictures surrounding the faculty and just a lot of professors, and how Scholarship Without Borders has just been innovative to the GSEP program, alongside our new symposiums that we have in Switzerland. Could you just share the importance of just working around such an innovative team, as you mentioned, with Dr. Miramontes and Dr. Lena, Safa, and just how important that is to have surround yourself with thinkers who continue to move the needle and want excellence out of all of us. I think that that's something that I think would be nice to elaborate on.
Thank you. There's no question that we're much stronger as a group because each of us have the strength, to bring our own value together. And I'd love to see, that impact even larger, because then you bring more universities, you bring into more countries, because things are changing, even politics. So you have to that into consideration. But I would like to see a universal feeling about together, more that we have, and I'd like to see the belonging of a group, because on this call you have strengths of everyone, like Dr. Lena, Safa, and also others that we cannot duplicate. That it's just they're doing great. So we should be more of maybe together. I'm not saying silos, but just bring global leadership and make it more universal together. Thanks. Okay. Any other questions that you have?
Thank you, Shelby. Any other questions before we wrap up the session, or maybe comments, any feedback? Anyone would like to add something? Okay, all right. Well, I think we're at time. So as we wrap up this inspiring opening session of the 2025 Global Leadership Speaker Series, I want to extend my deepest gratitude to Dr. Joan Schmieder Ramirez for her enlightening presentation, invaluable insights, and lifelong dedication to leadership, innovation, and motivation in higher education. Your expertise and mentorship, Dr. June, have left an indelible mark on Pepperdine University students and the broader community, shaping the next generation of global leaders. And a special acknowledgement to the team at the Center for Global Partnerships and Learning, led by Dr. Gabriela Miramontes, our director. Thank you, Dr. Gabby, for your authenticity and visionary. Thank you also to Dr. Swellen Schmieder Maria, who has put a lot of work into this Global Leadership Speaker Series. Thank you. She was not able to be with us today due to time difference. We miss her dearly. Thank you, Dr. Asia Ghazi, Dr. Maria Brame, and Dr. Reverend Charlotta Green. Great team at the center. Thank you, everyone who joined us this evening. Your engagement and commitment to lifelong learning and leadership development are what makes this series so impactful. I encourage you to continue this journey with us by registering for our upcoming sessions. The upcoming one is on March 17. We welcome Louis Raskila, as I mentioned, who will discuss future view, scenarios and trends towards 2035. And the last session will be on April 7 as we conclude the series with a dynamic student panel featuring GSCP doctoral students, scholars, offering fresh perspectives on leadership and innovation. Don't miss the opportunity to engage with thought leaders, scholars, and peers in these upcoming discussions. Once again, thank you, Dr. Joan Schmieder Ramirez, for your incredible contributions, and thank you all for being part of tonight's conversation. We look forward to seeing you all at our next session. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you